Boys and girls. Before we start our new listening and learning video today, I just want to review some information that you've learned so far. Um, you recently had read about, or listened and learned about two European immigrants who had settled in the Midwest of the United States, Lars and Karen. We also have talked about why people emigrate. Remember, that means to leave their home country, right? Because of some push factors, such as being unable to speak freely, not having freedom to practice one's own religion, or maybe not enough food. We also talked about some pull factors, such as the freedom of speech or religion, um, more jobs and land available, and the possibility of living a better life in another country. So, two major immigration centers that we have learned about. The first one was Ellis Island down in New York Harbor, and then Angel Island in San Francisco Bay. Thinking of the New York Harbor, you also learned about the Statue of Liberty, which is a statue that's there to welcome immigrants when they come to the United States. We had also talked about Sean and Fiona's family that had immigrated to the United States. Remember, they had came here because of the potato blight. So there wasn't enough food there, so they came to the United States in hopes of living a better life. Lin Wen and his father had came hoping to make enough money to live a better life as well. So when you think about some of those characters, Charles Steinmetz from Germany, Marie and her family from Italy, Sean and Fiona Murphy and their parents, Aunt Kathleen and Uncle Brennan from Ireland, Lin Wen and his father from China, Lars and Karen Anderson from Sweden. Those are many characters that you have heard about, but they are all made up characters, except for Charles Steinmetz. He was a real life immigrant. So I want to show you this image on the side here. Let me make my picture smaller. And some of you may have seen pictures like this before. This is called a mosaic. It's made up of small little pieces, but when you put them all together, they make one beautiful image. And if you think about how immigrants who come from many different places come to the United States, and we come here to be one, just like our motto, e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, right? So out of many different immigrants, we come together as one nation. So I want you to listen carefully today to see what else you can learn about immigration, and to listen to find out about how immigration today is similar to and different from the immigration stories that you've heard thus far. So I'm going to switch screens here. Good. I was hoping that would bring me to the screen. So looking here, there's many faces of immigrant ancestors. The United States is a nation of immigrants. Many of the people who live in the United States today left their homelands in other countries to come to America. Those who are not immigrants themselves can probably point to ancestors who came to the United States as immigrants in earlier times. Some can point to a mother or father who immigrated to the United States. They might have a grandparent or great-grandparent who came to the United States as an immigrant. Others have to reach back a little farther to their family's history. And on our one Zoom meeting, we had shared about some of our family members who immigrated to the United States. Whoops. So here, the people who have lived in North America the longest are the Native Americans. Their ancestors are the first known people to live in what is now called the United States. They made their way from Asia into North America thousands of years ago. The Native Americans spread out across North and South America. Today, many Native American descendants live all across the United States. So descendants are those who are born after or much later than their ancestors. Ancestors are the relatives who came before or long ago. So I am a descendant from my great grandparents had lived in Italy and came over here and settled and started a family. So I am a descendant from them. So here in this map, this map's actually perfect from what I was saying about my grandparents had came from, here's Italy, that's shaped like a boot. So they had came from Italy over to the United States and had settled. So I'm a descendant of them. Oops. For many years, the people of Europe did not know that the Americans existed. People and the Americans were two separate worlds. The voyages of Christopher Columbus in 1492 changed that. After these voyages, Europeans began to settle in the Native American lands of North and South America. The earliest immigrants came from a handful of countries in Northern Europe. Many came from England and Scotland, but there were settlers from other countries as well. Some came from France and Spain. Others came from Germany and the Netherlands. They settled down and made their homes in this new land called America. Many of the early settlers who fought in the Revolutionary War, remember that's when America fought for its independence from England. So many of the early settlers who fought in the Revolutionary War could point to ancestors from one of these 6 countries. Later, immigrants began to come to the United States from other countries in Europe. And later still, they began to arrive from many other parts of the world. So why do people become immigrants? Why do they leave the countries where they were born? And why have so many been drawn to the United States? Usually there is something that pushes immigrants out of their homeland. And usually there is something that pulls them to the United States. So remember, those are the push and pull factors that we've talked about. And here's a picture of some pilgrims. So the pilgrims who came to New England in the 1600s felt both pushed out of their homeland and pulled to the United States, although it wasn't called the United States at that time. They were pushed to leave England because the English king would not allow them to practice their religion in the way that seemed best to them. They were pulled to North America because they believed they would have religious freedom here. And here is a young Scottish boy. The Scottish people who came to America in the late 1700s also felt push and pull factors. Many of them were pushed off the land they farmed by the landowners who wanted to use the land to raise sheep. They were pulled to the American colonies because in America they could get farmland of their own. Many of the Irish who came to the United States in the 1840s and 50s came because of a famine in Ireland, which that means it's a great shortage of food. All across Ireland, potatoes went bad. They turned black and shriveled up. They were not good to eat, and many Irish starved. Many were pushed out of their homeland by the famine. The Irish heard there were farms and jobs in the United States. These stories helped pull them to the United States. And here's a picture of a Chinese family. Many of the Chinese immigrants who came to the United States in the 1840s and 50s were pushed out of their homeland because they were poor. Some were pulled to the United States by the prospect or possibility of finding gold in the mountains of California. Others were drawn here by jobs building railroads. Most of these immigrants saw America as a land of opportunity. It was a place where separatists would have the opportunity to practice their religion in their own way. It was a place where the Irish would have an opportunity to work on the railroads or work in their communities and other jobs. Many groups were able to own their own land and provide for their own or for their families. When you take a look at this map and notice the arrows are pointing to different parts of North America here. So we see people came from South America, from Africa, and then also from Europe and Asia. So today, immigrants continue to come to the United States from all over the world, from countries such as Mexico, China, India, the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, Ethiopia, and Russia. Over 1 million immigrants arrive each year from these and many other countries. That is about 3,000 or 4,000 people every day. This read aloud will last about 15 minutes. By the time it is finished, 30 or 40 people will have immigrated to the United States. Today's immigrants no longer come to the United States through Ellis Island and Angel Island. Many immigrants today arrive by plane, though some come by boat, car, or on foot. Many people leave their homelands because they are not able to live and work in safe and healthy conditions. Some people must leave their countries because of problems in the government or the dangers of war. People all around the world continue to view the United States as a land of opportunity. They see the United States as a place where people can make a new start in life. They can get an education, find jobs and medical care, and create a new home for themselves and their families. They can contribute their skills and hard work to the communities in which they live. As in the past, new immigrants still face challenges or difficulties in their new country. Today's immigrants must still say goodbye to loved ones in their homelands and make new friends in the United States. It takes time to become familiar with new ways of living. The food, language, the weather, and ways of getting around may be different. Immigrants sometimes can use help getting used to a new life. Oops. Yeah. It is still common for immigrants to settle in cities. Many immigrants move to places where others from their homelands have settled and can help the newcomers find jobs and places to live. Here, they can continue to share familiar customs and traditions, even as they learn other ways of doing things in their new country. In this way, new and delicious foods are introduced. People can enjoy a variety of festivals and traditions from other countries. New forms of art and music become part of our communities. Workers bring new ideas and skills to their places of work. I bet you boys and girls recognize this coin. It is the nickel. I remember we had studied this when we were learning about the words e pluribus unum. So this is a nickel. Do you see the words on top of the nickel? They say e pluribus unum. That is a phrase from the Latin language. It means from many, one. One of the powerful ideas about the United States is that it is a country where people from many different countries join together and form one nation. From many, one. You can think of the United States as a mosaic of people from many different countries. So remember I showed you that picture at the beginning of the mosaic with the bird. And so I had those tiny little tiles, but together it made that beautiful bird. The place where people come from is an important part of who they are. To the mosaic, each person brings interesting customs, new talents and ideas, and hard work. Like the tiles of mosaic, each person contributes to making one nation. So from many, one. And here's a picture of some postcards. There are many songs that celebrate the unity or oneness of the American people. One of them is This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie. And you boys and girls know the whole song because we sing this at morning program. You may know some of the words to the song, which I think you know all of them. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. And you know the rest of the verses. So California and the Redwood Forest are on the west coast. New York and the Gulf Stream waters are on the east coast. Most of America lies in between. What Woody Guthrie was trying to say is that the land belongs to all Americans. It is not just my country, it is also your country, wherever you may live in the United States, and also wherever your ancestors may have come from. Oops. So here is a mosaic of modern immigrants. From the earliest Native Americans and those ancestors who came long ago from other continents such as Europe, Africa, and Asia through history until today, people have come to the land that is now the United States for many reasons. Many people who live in the United States today are immigrants themselves. Others have parents or grandparents who are immigrants. Still others have ancestors who they never knew who immigrated to America long ago. More than almost anywhere else on planet Earth, the United States is a nation of immigrants and their descendants, a beautiful mosaic of people who have come to America from all over the world. So that is the end of this read aloud. And below the read aloud, I will have the word work activity. You had heard the word settlers in the read aloud. I had said there were settlers from other countries as well. So remember, settlers are people who make their homes in a new region or place. So the settlers, a group of immigrants from Europe, made their way westward. So can you name some of the settlers from this domain? And see if you can use the word settlers today in a sentence. You might say, so-and-so were settlers in... So I will have the activity, a little template for you to write your sentence using the word settlers. I will see you boys and girls next time.